Hey everyone, my name is Mars, like the planet, and this is Housewarmin. I posted a video a couple of weeks ago talking about my story and my struggles with anxiety and being on anxiety medication. So if you are interested in checking out that video, I will link it down below. But in that video, I mentioned that I would talk about my coming out story, and that is what I'm going to do today. If this is your first time seeing my channel, my name is Mars, like the planet, and I mostly post content centered around being a first-time homeowner, but I cannot ignore the fact that I am a Black queer woman on YouTube. I am 27 and I have been out for about a decade now, but I just kind of wanted to talk through my experience about being queer, about being bisexual, about having a partner, and what my journey was like. So I am going to get ready while I talk about my story, my journey. So I knew that I was queer for a very long time, but I think when we're young, we don't really know the terminology for it. Like, we're not, sitting there saying, oh, I'm gay, I'm a lesbian, I'm this, I'm that. But looking at my life now with the words and the language that I have and the context that I have, I definitely was queer. I just didn't know it just because I was 6. But my first actual kiss was actually with a girl. It was like during recess. I was in probably the 2nd grade, and we were sitting on the playground just kissing. And at the time, it wasn't anything like sexual, I guess. Like, I don't know. And people always ask me all the time, like, why were you doing it? And I'm like, I don't know. Kids just do stuff. And you're like, why did you do that? And you're like, I don't know. And that's the thing, is like, I wasn't like, oh, I like this girl and I want to kiss her and because I'm gay and this and that was not the case at all. I was just kissing her. Like, I don't know. I also kissed another girl when I was like in the 5th grade. Once again, there was no explanation for that. And also there was no language around that. I wasn't really interested in boys. I wasn't really interested in girls. Like, I was just living my life. So after I grew up, like when I got to maybe like 7th or 8th grade, I was definitely boy crazy. Like, I wanted a boyfriend so bad. I definitely, was looking out for a boyfriend, and I finally got my first boyfriend when I was in the 10th grade, and I was just like over the moon. And at that time, like, I was not thinking about girls or the idea of not being straight at all. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know, when you're younger, it's like that's not what you're focusing on. You're focusing on like being liked and who's like your celebrity crush and watching the Cheetah Girls and watching High School Musical. You're not like, what's my gender identity today? Like, you're not thinking about that. So I started dating this guy, and my first experience with people not being straight was, of course, when I got to high school. Like, I knew that guys were gay. They were just like more feminine, but I wasn't like, oh, they're gay, they're dating a guy. Like, I know it's like hard to think about, but like, think about when you're in high school. Like, you're dealing with so much already that you're not just like, your focus is not on sexuality. You just kind of like accept the world as it is. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, that was kind of weird. That was kind of different. And looking back, there are a lot of people that I'm like, oh, they were definitely gay. Oh, they were fully a lesbian. But at the time, like, you're in high school. Like, you're not thinking about that. So one girl that was in my art class, she like got my number, and she was like, I really have a crush on you and I really like you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what does that even look like? And at the time, I was going to church all the time, and I was just like, what is my family gonna think? Like, I can't like a girl. I can't go out with a girl. Like, they're gonna know that I'm gay, and they're gonna think I'm crazy. Like, what I just could never. So we would just like text on the low, and she would just kind of like text me every now and then, and we would sext a little bit. And I was just like, it was just like a foreign world to me. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what is going on? Like, I had no idea like what I was doing, what I was talking about. And like, I would pay $1 million to see those text messages that I sent when I was like 15. But I just didn't know what was going on at the time. Like, I had only had a boyfriend, so like, I just did not understand the world of like lesbians or anything like that. So as I got a little bit older, I definitely realized that I liked girls, and I always kept saying like, I just could never sleep with a girl, like, because people are gonna find out and they're gonna know, and what's gonna happen to me, and like, I just couldn't say anything. Like, what is my family gonna think? What are my friends gonna think? Like, they already think I'm like some type of whore because I'm like, I had already like lost my virginity in high school. And a lot of people were just like, oh, that's just so taboo to like lose your virginity when you're so young. And so I was already just like, oh God, like people like, if they find out that I like girls too, like what the heck's gonna happen to me? So when I got to college, once again, I got a new boyfriend, and once again, I was sworn off the chick train, if I guess I can call it. And right around the time we broke up, he kind of told me, he was like, you like girls, like you're bisexual. And I don't think you know that, but like you like girls. And I was like, I do like girls, but like I can't tell anybody that. Like I don't want to tell anybody that I like girls. So funny enough, at the time, my best friend was also battling the same demons. He was bisexual, and I was just like, how are we two bisexual people friends, best friends at the time, like besties, and like you didn't even tell me that you liked the same things I do. And I kind of used that as my scapegoat to kind of like tell people that I liked girls. So after me and my boyfriend at the time broke up, I was single, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the time that I start talking to girls again. Like this is going to be the time that I'm going to like have my queer era. I'm going to break out. Like this is going to be the moment. So honestly, the way that I told my like family, well, let me be more specific. Like the way that I told my mom that I was queer, I was like, hey, my best friend, you know, he's bisexual. And so am I. And I just kind of like slid that in there. I was like, yeah, like my bestie, he's bisexual. Me too. And she was like, what was that? Speak up. And I was like, me too. Me too. Like I am also. And honestly, like she took it very well. Like my mom was never like, you know, unsupportive of my lifestyle, if you want to call it that. She was never unsupportive at all, which I was super thankful of. Like I was just terrified to tell my family, you know, that I liked girls. Like I just didn't know how they were going to accept me. I didn't know what my friends were going to think. I didn't know how any of this was going to go. And I kind of told my friends like in a more wraparound way, like instead of just being like, guys, I have something important to tell you. I'm bisexual. Like I was not doing that. Like we're not that type of group. I would just be like, hey, I'm talking to this girl now. And they'd be like, okay. And just kind of like going about their day. And that's kind of like how I started to come out a little bit easier. I was like, hey, I'm talking to this girl. Like, what do you think about her? And they're just like, girl? Okay, I guess you're talking to girls now. Okay. And when you're in college, honestly, like everyone's talking to girls. They just don't want to admit it. But yeah, I finally, you know, came out. I kind of just started saying, yeah, I'm talking to this girl. Yeah, I met this girl. Yeah, I had lunch with this girl. And then it got really serious when I met my partner that I'm with now. We've been together for 6 years, which is crazy to think about. But at the time I was like, it was her first relationship too. And she wanted to introduce me as her friend. And I was like, we're not doing that. I was like, if you're gonna have me around your family, if you're gonna have me around, you know, your friends, like I wanna be your girlfriend. If I'm your girlfriend, you're gonna introduce me as your girlfriend. So she started introducing me as my girlfriend, as her girlfriend, and people were very accepting. People were very nice. Like even being in Louisiana, like people are super nice when it comes to stuff like that and really accepting. And I do think when we first started dating, I was just very hesitant about PDA, about holding hands. We have definitely got the question that was like, are y'all sisters? Are y'all best friends? And I'm like, no, we're dating. And that kind of is a little awkward for people, you know, at the time, but we kind of just got over it. I used to feel like people were looking at us and staring at us when we like walk through the mall holding hands, but I really got over that. And then as our relationship kind of progressed a little bit, I was still in college at the time, but I had not told my grandmother, and she is very, very religious. And I had not told my grandpa, and he's like very, very old fashioned. And I was just kind of like, you know, how am I going to tell them? Like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to say this? And honestly, the best way that I did it was I sat them down. I was like, look, I'm talking to this girl. I'm in a relationship now. And I tried to just like make her relatable. Like I was like, not just, I didn't center it around like, oh, we're lesbians in love. Like, I was just more of like, this is a person that I'm dating and look at these cool things about her. And like, this is how she relates to you. So when I would introduce her to my family, I would just more relate her as a normal person. I would say, okay, look, she's, you know, yes, she's my girlfriend, but, you know, she's from this town and we like that town and her mom does this and you think that's cool. And like, she has these cool facts about her, and like really get to know her as a person and like humanize her and not just think that she's like the token lesbian in the family. I didn't want to just like make her sexuality the thing that she was. I humanized her, and of course she's very nice, so it's like you can't hate her, but you know, she's very nice. So I just, you know, that was the way that I kind of introduced my family to her. And I think when you know, meet someone and you're like, oh, we have this thing in common, cool, that kind of like breaks the ice a little bit, and it's not like dun dun dun, like you're gay, like it's not all of that. So I'm super thankful that my family took it well, but I do understand that like no matter if your family accepts you or not, which, you know, sucks at the end of the day, it's really hard to just like say it and just like spit it out. And I know a lot of people, it's like super obvious. They're like, oh, I'm gay. And it's like, we know, we've been new, but it's still hard to just like say it out loud. And sometimes you just can't do it. And maybe you need to think of another way to kind of like circumvent the word I'm gay and just kind of like, be like, oh, I'm talking to this guy, or like, oh, I met someone new, look at their picture, it's a guy, or like, it's a girl, or whatever. I think that it's just very hard. And I think also too, coming out is not a one-time thing. It's not like you're gonna sit everybody down, say that you're gay, and then the whole world knows. I come out almost monthly because I go to work and there are new people all the time that I have to say like, hey, I have a partner, hey, I have a girlfriend, like, hey, there's someone that I'm dating that's a girl and I'm gay, and like, or I'm queer, or I'm bisexual. And sometimes people just don't know how to handle that. So it's like, you kind of feel like you're this like pillar for this community that like, you're like put on a pedestal almost, and then everyone wants to ask you questions about the queer community. And I think for a while, I just didn't know how to navigate that. I was okay in my skin and being a queer woman and being a Black queer woman, but I just wasn't cool with people just being like for example, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, me and my partner would be like, oh, you have a girlfriend? Oh, well, my brother's sister, she's gay too. And it's like, great, like what does that have to do with the conversation that we're having? And I think people try so hard to relate to you that they're like, oh yeah, my brother, cousin, sister's goldfish is gay too. Like, wow, what a coincidence. Like, and it's like, yeah, I guess, but like, I don't care about that. And I think that kind of like rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I think that, say you are a person watching this, for example, and someone tells you that they're queer, someone tells you that they're trans, someone tells you that they're non-binary, just say, okay, cool, and like move on. You don't have to treat it like this huge monumental, like, wow, I did not know that. That's correct. Like, you don't have to do all that. Like, you really don't have to do all that. Just say, oh, that's cool. Okay, cool. And just like move on with your like conversation. If you really like want to ask questions, if you really are curious, like do it in a polite way. Also, make sure that it's appropriate for the conversation. I have so many times when I'm in meetings at my job, and people will be like, so when are you having kids? So when are you getting married? Are you gonna have kids? Like, how does that work? Like, it's like, ma'am, like we're in a meeting right now about work. Like, why are you asking me about like my reproductive system? And I think that too is just like, there is a time and a place to ask people about being gay or being queer or being trans or being a part of this community. I think there's a time and place for that. I also think too that it's hard to realize that a lot of people aren't going to be allies for you. A lot of people aren't going to be 10 toes down fighting for the queer community if they're not queer themselves. I pride myself in surrounding myself around queer Black women because that's who I feel the most comfortable with. And I'm actually very thankful that I am able to work with another queer Black woman. And it's amazing because in Louisiana, that's almost unheard of that 2 queer Black women work in the same department. But I'm just so thankful. We kind of lean on each other and we really just, you know, have the same experiences when it comes to dating women and dating men and being in this world, you know, if that makes sense. I also think too that, you know, some people are old-fashioned, some people are older, some people just don't get it, and I think that's okay. But I think it's important to say that, you know, hey, it's all right if you don't understand my lifestyle, if you don't understand what I'm doing, but just be respectful. Just understand that I'm a person just like you at the end of the day. Like, I wake up, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. Like, my partner is a real person. We're not just gay and that's it. If you are wanting to come out, just realize that, you know, it's all on your own time. It is, if you don't feel safe to do so, if you don't feel like you're ready, don't feel like, oh, I'm this age and I've been gay for this long and I just have to come out. Do not feel like you are forced to come out. Do not feel like you have to. Do not feel like you have to tell specific people that you are queer, or that you're gay, or that you're interested in the same sex or whatever. Don't feel like you have to do that. I know a lot of people feel like they are forced to come out just because of, you know, social media and stuff like that. But take your time, you know, really know who you can confide in. And I truly feel like if you have people around you, they're gonna accept you either way if they love you. And hopefully they should already know. If they don't know that you're gay, maybe you need different friends. But I understand a lot of people, especially growing up in the South and this being the Bible Belt, and there are a lot of hardcore Christians that believe that you are going to hell, you are committing a sin if you are gay. I know that sometimes it is just not a great time to come out. So be safe, take care of yourself, make sure that if this is something that you're struggling with, you can always seek out therapy or talk to a therapist about this, or someone that you confide in. I think that is very important, but I do hope that my story can shed some light on what it's like as a queer Black person in Louisiana, coming out, being queer, being in a same-sex relationship, and what it is like for me. I do hope that you found this helpful. Please leave love, please leave comments down below. I would love to meet you guys and talk to you guys. I post new videos every single Wednesday, so I will see you guys next week. Bye.